respect to your solution for your school of the future, what problems are you solving? Why are they important to the future of education? And what specifically would be different in your school of the future than in your own school experience?
Well, we're solving several problems. First of all, the earth is getting more and more polluted by the day, so we're offering renewable resources. We're using sustainable resources for our schools, so we're helping the earth. There's a lot of students that have trouble learning in the school environment they're in, so we're offering different class styles, so that helps them learn. And it encourages physical fitness, which is also a big problem. So since we're an athletic school, we're encouraging physical fitness. And we're getting students involved in the community, since sometimes there's a big gap between being a teenager and being an adult, so we want people to feel more comfortable and getting involved in their community.
Yeah, like Nora said, the different learning styles. We focus on big problems like the ones you just wrote down, but all these big problems are split into little tiny problems that might not matter to someone trying to figure them out. Like, there's always one or two students who definitely has a hard time with specific areas, and we want to cater to each and every student's needs. We don't want any student to feel like there's any part of them that's not supported, and we want them to feel like there's always going to be somewhere to go to get that help.
A big problem that we had was with the disability, like the people who are disabled and want to go to our school. Since we're an athletic school, basically based off athletics, they can't, if they're disabled, they can't do a lot like all the other kids. So we wanted to have, I use an example as a movie Radio. It's about a coach who sees a disabled man walking by every day and has him play football and sees all this stuff, and he teaches him and he gets into the school. It's a really good story, and we wanted to have that. We wanted to have our disabled kids who go to our school. We want coaches like that to help them, to see all their strengths and all the things that they need help on. They see how they can help them in school and athletics, see which athletics they can do. Say we had some listing, weightlifting. That could be a good thing for them.
Our school is not just about the sport that you, it's not just to go for the sport, it's to learn the skill, like Nora and Ellie.
Yeah, and
It's to improve yourself.
yeah, and we want our faculty to look at what's strong in each student and embrace that rather than their weaknesses. And like Maggie just said, weightlifting is an official sport, and even though we're not competing against other schools in that, it's an official sport, and a student who could do that would qualify to be admitted into our school.
To add on to Maggie's, there's a show that I watch. It's called E60, and they do like inspirational like sports stories. And they're like, I've seen stuff where there have been kids with disabilities, either mental or physical. And like I remember one that there was somebody who went to the University of Alabama, and he helped out in their football program. Like he was their water boy and towel boy. And like everybody loved him, and he like they joked around with him and stuff. And his name was AJ, and their quarterback like was named AJ McCarron, so they call him like the real AJ instead of AJ McCarron. So like they help him fit in and everything, and make him feel more comfortable.
That's the kind of community we want in our school. We want a helpful, peaceful community who is on task and not very. I know there's going to be a lot of problems. Every kid's not perfect. That's obvious, but we want to try to get them on the right path. See, a lot of people go in with a positive attitude and then halfway through go negative. We want them to stay on that positive attitude and keep going straight, and that's the kind of community and I don't know, community works, but that's the kind of environment that we want our kids to have in our school.
We want to teach them never to give up on anything, and our teachers will definitely enforce that.
Yeah, another problem that happens at a lot of schools is a kid gets really good at a sport, and so they focus on just that sport, but we don't want that to happen. We want them to be good in their studies. So that's why we have the regulation. You're supposed to maintain a 2.7 GPA. And if you don't, then you're put on probation, but you're not kicked off the sports team yet. You get another chance. And all of your teachers, you can get extra help so they can put you back on the right path and pull your grade up again.
I think like another like rising problem in schools would be safety, like the shootings that happen in schools or that occur at other schools across the country. Like it seems like that's starting to happen like more often than it did in the past. So like safety has to be like bumped up a little bit so that students stay in their safe environment and parents like trust everybody at the school.
Yeah, every what if question should be covered.
There's a lot of what ifs about bullying, and we have surveillance cameras. So if you have somebody under surveillance bullying someone, it could be a very serious situation. And we have that so we can have a safe school and there's no conflict or anything about it, and we have to think about it. You have kids who come to the school look good, but they really aren't good. You don't know, and you have to kind of take a risk on that. But if you you don't want that. You don't want that in our school. So we have a lot of things to bring that person that you could possibly have bad go to good. You could have a lot of things.
Yeah.
So is there an intervention on the student side of
Yes.
knocking down the diminishing
I think
the bullying?
It's really important because not all bullying can be seen on camera. It can look like nothing, but I would say like a good idea is like an anonymous tips box, just for someone to say something, or it's really good to just encourage a positive attitude so that bullying is never a problem in the first place. I mean, it's never going to be totally extinguished or whatever, but if you encourage like a positive attitude, then there's going to be less. And we want our kids just to be open to telling teachers and counselors about what's going on.
We want to instill into our students that they need to know in their conscience that they shouldn't have any regrets about things like that. They need to know that they need to be serious if they're really serious in their learning in their sport.
One of the sort of follow-ons to that, and I think you've kind of answered it, but and I want you to say this in what might be wrong with where you are now in terms of your school, but the question would be, what specifically would be different in your school than what you're in your school of the future than in the school experience you've had? In other words, maybe taking some of the things that you wish had been different in your specific school experience, have you translated some of those into this school of the future?
Well,
I think like since we're a school based around athletics, I mean I've kind of always wanted to play for my school. I think that sounds pretty cool. Like you could be like, I know it sounds like cliche and it's like in the movies and stuff, but you could be like popular and everything if you did something good in the games. But I always thought that would be like a really cool experience.
yeah.
So like I know I'm excited for next year to be able to play for my school.
You gotta give a lot of props to this school. I mean, you fit elementary and middle school in one elementary school for 3 years now. And they worked around the tornado incident, they worked around a lot of big problems, and still it's a very good school. I mean, maybe we can't have sports teams like that, but we're getting a good education. I think that's the most important thing that we can have right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's about what you have, it's about what we're gaining inside. That's what's really going to matter.
Throughout the years, the school will increase, and I'm sure it will because we're getting more supporters and supporters.
And
It's growing.
I think it's really important for the teachers to be really committed. We don't want their teaching to just be a job. We want them to be involved in their students, because that encourages a relationship between the student and teacher, and that's really important. And we have that with a lot of teachers at our school, so I think that's one of the positive aspects of St. Michael's.
Yeah, if any of you have been to public school, you know that the relationship is
Yeah,
definitely
It's
different.
very
And
different. Your teachers
So-
actually care about you and they want you to grow and want you to get stronger.
So following up on that, how do you see education changing, or do you see education changing, the process of teaching, the process of learning
The only change that I think that I can see within this school and that school is that's going to be difficult in our school of the future with the athletics. That's the only difference, because we're very educated in this school. I think that's one of our positive learning. So we get ready for high school next year, no matter which school we go to. We're gonna
Is
set-
are learning styles taken into account in this
That-
school today?
yes.
I'm sorry.
Also, since we're moving toward the future, we're trying to, this school, I know we have textbooks online, so we don't always have to use the paper copies, and one of the cool things that we're actually incorporating into that school too is Khan Academy, which is online learning. You can do exercises, it's especially good for math.
It's definitely a more fun way of doing homework.
Yeah.
So you're utilizing that, we call that a blended learning, where you're learning online and then having discussions about that in the classroom. That's great.
Is that also a part of flipping the classroom, what we call flipping the classroom, where there's more of the lecture, like the Khan Academy, done at home, and class time is spent more in discussion?
Partly, because it allows students to learn it themselves, because some students will pick it up like that and some it'll take longer. So that way when they come to school they'll have it all learned already so that they can just practice it and ask any questions.
Yeah, you also can't have too much at home because athletics. You can't have too much. And so we thought about that. We took that into consideration. Like, if we have Khan Academy, you can't be on the computer for like 2 hours like in school doing math homework. Miss K gives us 3 assignments every 2 weeks or so, and it works perfectly.
To add to Maggie, we have 2 teachers. Mr. B, he's more of like, he makes us teach. He teaches us by incorporating stories or it's a discussion kind of based. And then Miss K, she likes to make us think. She'll give us a problem, try to figure it out the best we can, and then she'll give us tips.
She won't give us the answer.
No, she won't give us the answer.
She'll hold the answer out of
No,
us.
she makes us.
She knows that it's in us. Both of our teachers teach from the heart, and that's what really matters. It's not about what's coming from the textbook. It's
Yeah.
And that's the kind of environment we want at our school.
It's really important to see a kid's potential. Like Miss K does, she makes us answer it because she knows that we can. We just have to think. We have to access that. And they just have to help us grow into who we're supposed to be.
That I work with a lot of people that are much older than you all. And many of them don't present nearly as well as you all did today. You can't hear me say that, but you all. And you should give yourselves great pats on the back. You did a fabulous job.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to your teachers.